Two adorable young assassins get more than they bargained for when they find out that their next target has the most backstory of any character in this movie. We watched Violet and Daisy starring Saoirse Ronan, today on Nothing Movies.
Welcome back, however you wish to self-identify, to Nothing Movies, where we ask the question, the is this? It's the podcast where we go through an actor's filmography and choose the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made, and decide whether or not they're a Violet, or if they're a Daisy. And spoiler alert, there's not that much difference.
It's neither.
Yeah. No, they're pretty similar in terms of personality.
Whether it's a flower or if it's a weed.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Thank you.
My. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Thank you.
I should have gone with that. You should host this podcast.
I do. We're co-hosts.
I'm Violet Lesgard.
Okay, and I'm Jameson Rafter. What?
I gave you the good one.
Daisy?
Yeah, she's the nice one.
Okay.
She's nice. She's
all right,
sweet.
I'm Daisy Rafter.
There you go.
Which, incidentally, if I had to pick a name for a daughter, I'd probably go with Daisy or Rose, because
Rose Rafter is actually really nice.
Actually,
Rose
that
Rafter
is
sounds
badass.
like a famous person.
Yeah. Well, she will be someday.
Yeah.
I'll push her into show business.
Oh, I'm gonna by hook or by crook. She's getting up there.
Compensate for my failed dreams of glory.
Is by hook or by crook one of those sayings that we say it and then it turns out it has deeply problematic backgrounds?
But wait, isn't the hook and the crook the same thing? Isn't it both the shepherd's tool? Why are they different options?
I always thought the crook had the hook, and he was going around doing his hooking.
Oh, like a criminal, like
a criminal.
Oh.
And he's known throughout foggy London town as the hook.
Yes, you can choose
The
the
hook
hook
bandit.
or the crook.
Indeed.
I mean, I just take umbrage with the fact that you said when we say hook or by crook, and I'm like, speak for yourself, mister.
You know
Jesus.
for a fact. Today, we are discussing the 2011 film Violet and Daisy, and by doing so, we are talking about the filmography and career of Saoirse Ronan, an actor who, in a very short amount of time, has left an indelible mark on the film industry. Primarily, she taught everyone how to pronounce Saoirse. We are doing so at the request of our guest. A very special guest who is here in the studio with us. I'm rambling. Of course she is. Where else would she be? We're not doing remote recordings anymore. We've completely forgotten how to do remote recordings.
Kaz, who's our guest today? Jesus.
Our guest is Danielle Klaudt.
Hi,
She's
it's
a Vancouver-based actor who I met when I was assistant directing a play that she was in that I was woefully ill-prepared to assistant direct.
What? No, okay, it was a
I'm
comedy,
sorry.
and Kaz gave us so many bits and bits
No.
of Lotzie. Yes,
I
you
shouldn't
did.
have brought that up because now I'm embarrassed. I couldn't
Hire
think
him
of a
for all
good
your
joke.
comedy needs.
Just the antics of behind-the-scenes stuff just kept everybody in stitches, kept
Exactly.
spirits up. Okay.
Yeah, did a few pratfalls in the back, and people added it in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows what was
I don't know
intentional.
how you feel, Danielle, and I'm sorry I stepped on the end of your sentence there. I don't know how you feel. I was having a conversation with a friend, past guest and a friend of the podcast, Leslie Dulce-Remedios, about acting and about the concept of teaching acting, and it really just comes down to one person's opinion. The whole concept of teaching acting to someone else, you can dress it up with as much book learning as possible and real life experience and everything, but at the end of the day, if you're sitting there in front of a bunch of people and they're saying what are we doing wrong, or what would you do in this situation, all I did on this show was just offer my opinion, you know, and then I got an assistant director credit and it made me look really impressive, and I honestly didn't do anything. I remember
Fake it till you make it, buddy.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think there's a difference between teaching acting and directing, because I feel like teaching acting is about giving actors skill sets or tools to achieve something they want to do or express. Whereas directing, I feel like you're providing that outside eye or the audience's experience. So really, we could be in there doing whatever we want all day, but we need someone to be our sounding board who can say, we don't understand, that's not coming across from the audience's perspective, which I feel like that was an incredible gift to us, or this would be funny, or we're losing a point of connection when this, so.
Sure.
I feel like that's crucial.
That's a great distinction. Absolutely.
And then I feel like you and Sarah had such a yin yang sort of thing. Like, yeah, I feel like
good cop, bad cop.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Sarah Rogers, who I gotta get on this show eventually one of these
gosh.
days. She's that lady asked me to do anything, and I'm there.
You jump.
That's just the thing.
Yeah.
Danielle, I gave you the choice of actor that you could talk about, and you came back. Well, you came back with a few, but ultimately we went with Saoirse Ronan. So why that choice? What is it about Saoirse?
Yeah.
I just said the name wrong.
I know.
I don't know.
Like
I was trying to think of like a cute way to say it, and then I just mispronounced the word.
Difference on.
I was, yes, very much so.
You were searching for the right way to do it?
That's why he gets paid the big bucks, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, why Saoirse? I really love most of the work I've seen her in.
Until now.
Let us get. Oh, right. Okay.
Film.
Yeah.
But I feel like all the films that I've previously enjoyed that she's been in have all been roles that, okay, I would love to play that role.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know we're going to go through her videography, so I won't, delve too particularly into any one title. But I also really admire her from like a craft perspective. I feel like she's really out of the limelight and I just get the impression she's really focused on her work, really pushes herself. She was just in a production of Macbeth on stage, so she's doing film, she's doing stage, and I don't know, just someone I'd like to model myself after, and I just think she's great. And I feel like there's something about her that's not your conventional Hollywood starlet. Like, she's beautiful, but I wouldn't say she's like right off the street. You're like, oh gosh, everyone wants to like be her or whatever.
There's an every woman quality to her.
Exactly. And so for someone who's kind of come through that and brought us this huge range of characters and just emotional depth to her work, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah. No, she definitely is, in a very short amount of time, in a very brief career, she's managed to really elevate herself as a consummate actor.
Yeah.
And I really feel, because we are talking about an actress, and obviously the industry is stacked against women in so many different ways, and of course a thing that a lot of Hollywood actresses have to deal with is they hit that certain age range and then the roles just sort of dry up. It's a little different now because when there aren't good roles in film, a lot of women are just transferring over to television, and that's where the real roles seem to be. So, it's weirdly correcting itself in a weird way.
Yeah, and we're getting more women filmmakers who are now in charge of what stories we're telling.
And Saoirse works with a lot of those filmmakers.
Yes.
I think Saoirse is really on track to becoming something of a Meryl.
Exactly.
Something of a Kate Blanchett, like someone who puts the work first and who...
Just that longevity, like an iconic status.
I think there's... it's always too soon to say in cases such as this, but yeah, I could see her absolutely going the distance.
Yeah.
She's so young, but she's already been nominated for 4 Oscars.
Oh, I know.
It's bound to have... She's bound to get one sooner or later.
Picking the right roles for herself.
And she's largely stayed away from, with a few outliers, she hasn't taken like the big paycheck. She's not in a Star War. She's not in a Marvel. She's not in any of the... Even though she absolutely could have... Yeah, and she would kill it in it.
Oh,
but right now she has like this sort of really...
Like indie darling sort of. Yeah.
Indie darling is a fantastic way of describing her. Yeah. And she's cute as a button.
She's so cute. I know. And I feel like, I don't know where I think she might live in New York, but it seems like she might also have a lot of roots back in Ireland. And I think she maybe spends a lot. I feel like I'm speaking about someone I don't know at all, but it seems like she's stayed kind of grounded in her home country as well versus like totally doing the LA thing or.
I think with keeping the name Saoirse really made her. She's keeping those roots.
Yes.
She's keeping one foot in Ireland and she's not going to shake it. And she's proud of her Irish heritage.
Yeah.
She's not doing the classic show business thing where they change their name to be more marketable.
It would be a markedly different career, I think, if she was like Sally Ronan or something like that. Right. I don't know, Jameson, you have any Saoirse thoughts?
My first exposure to her was just seeing her host SNL one time, and I thought she killed it. Thought she was very funny. And when I hear all these stories of how much of a talented and dedicated actress that she is, and she also has bona fide comedy chops with it, lets me know that she can take comedic material seriously. She doesn't have to take herself so seriously. She can maybe be the butt of a few jokes. She seems to have a good head on her shoulders, but I don't watch nearly enough Saoirse Ronan movies.
Fair enough. Yeah, totally. You make a really good point that she's excellent at comedy. I feel like the comedies that she is in always have like a little drop of either drama or just like centering. They're very matter-of-fact comedies,
Right.
You know,
We're not
and
seeing her in like a farce.
would put out a challenge. I'd like to see her in something like broader, you know. Like I think she could do it. I think that would be exciting. You know, I mean, like, look, Saoirse, we know you can do the period costume drama. We know you just kill it at that. We know you can do action.
Yes.
And we know you got a light touch. You got a light touch with a comedy. Let's get into some of these other genres. Let's see you fight.
Are you looking for like a sitcom maybe?
Well, I don't want her to immediately go to a sitcom, but you know, like Saoirse in 20 years, you know, like give her own show. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. A short-lived HBO comedy, or do a season of Fargo.
Yes.
There we go. Do the thing where you have a sitcom and it's named after yourself, but the character you're playing is not named after yourself.
Okay.
There's a long tradition in the business of that happening. You know, like Whoopi. Like a show just called Whoopi, and then you see the show, and like they start the episode, and it's all like, "What's up, Rebecca?" It's like that's not how that's supposed to work. I'm confusing.
What?
But anyway, let's talk about the filmography of Saoirse Ronan. So it starts off. She has 4 movies released in 2007.
Jesus.
Well, okay. She has 4 movies that come out in 2007, and apart from one huge one, the other 3 are what you could charitably call nothing movies.
Oh, great.
But I didn't pick these for our movie today because what I'm trying to do is, if someone gives me an actor based off of our DOA episode, Jameson, and the ire that I got from guest Hannah
browbeating we got from Hannah.
on that.
Yeah.
If someone says I would like to talk about this actor, I'm trying to choose a movie where that actor is undeniably the star of the movie.
Oh,
they are the main character of the movie.
That's fair.
And yes, in these early films, she is mostly playing the daughter of the main character.
Oh, classic.
Like in her debut film, the 2007 comedy, I Could Never Be Your Woman.
What?
That's the name. That's the name of the movie. It is from writer and director Amy Heckerling, who gave us Clueless and Look Who's Talking and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. A fantastic director that unfortunately has just kind of stopped working. You know, she made probably one of the most seminal comedies of the 90s in Clueless.
Yeah.
And then
wash your hands. She was done.
And then she made a couple of other movies after that. She made Loser with Jason Biggs. Everyone remember that?
Is that the movie that had Teenage Dirtbag on the soundtrack?
Yeah,
okay.
that's its sole reason for existing, is that people remember
it gave us Wheatus's Teenage Dirtbag.
Wow,
Indeed.
seminal. Yeah.
But we're not talking about Loser. We're talking about I Could Never Be Your Woman, which is quite a mouthful of a title. But this is a movie where Michelle Pfeiffer dates a much younger Paul Rudd.
Oh, hello.
Saoirse Ronan plays Michelle Pfeiffer's daughter and also has her own burgeoning romance. And Tracy Ullman plays the literal manifestation of Mother Nature. This movie sounds weird, y'all.
It sounds amazing.
This movie sounds very strange. But yeah, this movie really went nowhere. I mean, like, these are great examples if we ever covered these actors. Like, if we ever cover Paul Rudd or Michelle Pfeiffer.
Someone should do Paul Rudd.
I got an idea for a Paul Rudd episode.
Oh, I gotta go. Paul Rudd's been in some crap. Paul Rudd has been in some movies that do not exist.
Good for him.
She also plays a daughter in our next movie, Death-Defying Acts. This is a period film. She plays the daughter of Catherine Zeta-Jones, who plays a Scottish psychic fraud out to con none other than Harry Houdini, played by Guy Pearce. But romance happens instead. And I watched the trailer for this last night, and Saoirse plays like her mother's sort of like helper in the con. And a neat little bit of trivia for this movie is that Saoirse Ronan does indeed have brown face on. Yep. Well, you know, different times.
Right.
2007.
What are you going to do? Also, she was a child. What are you going to do? Someone put that
worse
on her.
Somehow. They inflicted that on that kid to do
13.
that?
I believe she's 13
well,
in 2007.
I mean, good on her for rebounding from that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Jeez, that
would be so funny if like someone tried to take down
career
Saoirse
right in its
Ronan now.
infancy. Jesus.
Honestly, who was the hair and makeup team on that one? I feel like they got to shoulder the blame for that.
She's also in something called The Christmas Miracle of Jonathan Toomey. But I'm burying the lead here because the movie that she comes out with in 2007 is her first Oscar nomination for the film Atonement.
Atonement? I love Atonement.
Yes.
Oh, good for her. And wasn't she the youngest nominee ever at the time?
I think maybe at the time. I know the youngest nominee in history is still Quvenzhané Wallis, who I believe was like 8 or not, maybe even younger when she got nominated for that. I would wager no one's beaten that.
Right.
I would wager 8 is maybe like the limit. And also, I would also maybe wager maybe we shouldn't be nominating 8-year-olds for competitive acting awards, but whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, no, she's nominated for that. Yeah, playing a little girl who sees her sister kissing James McAvoy, but then she tells a lie, and that lie has ripples, and it goes throughout history, and there's great sweeping cinematography. I haven't seen Atonement since it came out.
Incredible green dress. That is like the most vivid memory from that movie. But it's interesting because Saoirse is not in it that much. Like, there's an older version of her character that another actress plays. So I'm actually quite surprised that she was able to garner a nomination for. Like, she's great.
Well,
but...
I mean, she is supporting. That is her only supporting actress nomination.
Right.
For that, I think she had like a decent amount of screen. Again, I haven't seen Atonement in a really long time.
Well, you have a very memorable cameo in the movie, and you can get guaranteed like a supporting Oscar nomination.
There's lots of people who get nominated for
Judi Dench get nominated,
Sure,
and she was only in one scene of Shakespeare in Love?
She's in that movie for like 8 minutes. So yeah, there's historically there are people who have been nominated and won for like less than 10 minutes on screen. It definitely happens. All right, moving on.
Thank you.
2008. Her follow-up to Atonement, she's in the YA adaptation film City of Ember. Did either of you?
I think I read the novel, but I didn't know there was a film adaptation.
I saw it years ago. I don't remember it. The only thing that I remember from that movie is that Bill Murray is fully checked out.
Oh.
He's playing the villain. He's playing like the villainous mayor who like hoards all the food for himself, so he has like a big belly, but it's like it's so obviously Bill Murray with a fake belly on, and it's just I've seen him sleepwalk through some performances before, but he was very sleepy.
I'd say most of his performances.
Yeah, he did not want to be in that movie. But yeah, Saoirse, she's in an underground city, and they're trying to find light.
Yeah,
I don't
think
know.
It's they're like
that.
running out of electricity. I actually think about the plot of this fairly regularly. I don't know, it just kind of fascinates me.
Because you're preparing for the coming apocalypse, and we're going to have to all go underground.
Exactly,
all that stuff. 2009, she's in another literary adaptation.
Can I guess? Is this The Lovely Bones?
This is the much maligned adaptation of The Lovely Bones, directed by Peter Jackson. And I think everyone was quite excited for this because this was his follow-up to King Kong, and everyone's all like, Peter Jackson, he's the king of spectacle. What's he going to do? I'm going to do this very tragic story that's like this very like personal drama between like a family and the daughter. She's are you familiar with the story, Jameson?
Not really, no.
So Saoirse plays a young girl who is murdered by a
icicle. I'm pretty sure.
An icicle.
Yes, I think she...
Isn't that how the guy who kills her? She's murdered by Stanley Tucci,
okay, yeah,
who's a creep, who's a big creep. This movie is Stanley Tucci's only Oscar nomination, and he is fully embarrassed by it.
He had an Oscar nomination for this.
Yes, and he would like to not have an Oscar nomination.
Like strike it from the record.
He has gone on the record as saying like I would prefer that not to be my only Oscar nomination.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah. So she dies and she narrates the story from heaven.
Yeah, she's trying to like guide her mom and like a police officer or something into like finding her killer. So it's sort of one of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe it's yet another movie where Mark Wahlberg plays like a scientist or he plays her dad. I don't know. The Lovely Bones is a fascinating thing to go down through. Famously, Ryan Gosling was originally cast as her father, and he gained all of this weight for the role. And then when he showed up on set, Peter Jackson said, "Oh, you look totally wrong," and they did the natural thing and they recast him with Mark Wahlberg.
What?
It's not a good movie. It's a great book, but it's a very bad adaptation of the movie. That movie did not work. Movie did not work. But it's not, not on Saoirse's shoulders.
No,
She's playing the role that she got cast in.
Yeah.
2010, she is in Siberian Gulag escape movie, The Way Back.
Oh.
It's a bunch of people escape from a gulag and have to get through a desert and have to survive. It is her, Colin Farrell, Ed Harris, and Jim Sturgis.
Wow, she has only worked with greats across the board.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Basically.
Wow.
So 2011, here's what's interesting. She had 2 movies come out in that year, and in both films, she is both the titular character and an assassin. 2011 is the year that Violet and Daisy comes out.
Oh.
Because the other movie she comes out with is Hannah.
Oh, that's where she plays like her and her father live off the grid or something. Right.
And her father is Eric Bana, and her father trains her to be a killer.
Yes.
And then she goes on the run, and Kate Blanchett's like a FBI, a CIA person or whatever, and she's trying to track her down. Haven't seen Hannah yet. I heard it's great. I've been meaning to check that one out, but I just found that funny that in the same year she has the same job and also she's the titular character.
I feel like maybe her agent was like, okay, we've had enough of playing daughters and various like,
let's get you some
hard left.
Let's let you stab someone in the neck or something like that.
Give you some range, yeah.
2012, she's in the Neil Jordan film Byzantium, which is sort of a vampire movie. It's her and Gemma Arterton as mother and daughter, and they come to this small town and they check into a hotel, and it's eventually revealed that they're like 1,000 years old and they subside on blood.
Oh my god!
And they're like, it's one of those frustrating movies where it's like you're vampires, but I don't think anyone ever says the word vampire.
Oh right.
It's one of those things where it's all like we
wink,
can't,
wink to the
we
audience.
can't fully commit. We're not going to fully commit because that way we're artsy.
Yeah, it's not like a genre, but like you know.
Yeah, you know what's going on here. Drinking blood, you understand this.
And I bet they break some conventional rules of vampires, less of the mythical side, and just like,
probably.
It's like some virus in them.
Walking around in the sunlight,
yeah.
eating garlic bread,
You don't
whatever.
have to invite them
just
into your
doing
home.
things.
They don't hypnotize people.
Yeah.
2013, she's still in like the YA era of adaptations here. She's got 2 ones in 2013. She's in the film How I Live Now. Have you heard of this?
No.
This seems like a really weird movie. I almost picked this movie, but the more I looked into it, the more it seemed like a huge bummer. So I decided not to.
Great.
So this is a movie where she plays an American who goes to England. It's like she has like a summer with her cousins, one of whom is played by a young Tom Holland.
Oh.
But there's like a older, sexier cousin.
Oh.
That
Sexier than Tom Holland?
he's like a little boy. He's like a little boy, Danielle.
Okay.
And there's a little bit of cousin romance in this movie.
Who's the older cousin?
I think he's the guy from 1917. That?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He's a handsome boy.
Yes, absolutely.
But I'm burying the lead here because this is a war survival movie because it's a story about a girl who goes on vacation, and then when she's on vacation, where she also starts kissing her cousin.
Right.
Just a war breaks out, like a civil war breaks out in England, and she has to like survive.
Okay.
And it's not like a historical war. It's like a made-up war that happened. So it sounds like there's a lot going on in this movie, and I don't think it does anything terribly well.
Right. And it's just sort of a long, suffering, dramatic.
That's my guess.
Plot.
That was what I inferred, and that's why I ultimately did not choose that one.
Fair.
But her other YA adaptation that came out in 2013 is The Host from the book by Stephanie Meyer.
I didn't know there was a film adaptation of that, and I didn't know Saoirse would be in it.
I think that says a lot of how well that movie did, which, spoiler, not well.
And I don't think the novel did well either.
No, I mean, I said a while back on the episode with your sister, Jameson, that I still need to get around to seeing the Twilight movies because I feel like I maybe have unfairly judged them. Everything I've heard about The Host is that The Host sucks. It's a bad book and it's a bad movie.
Wow, I feel let down that Saoirse's in it, you know?
I'm sure she feels the same way.
I was saying earlier about like her not taking like big genre things.
Yeah.
That feels like the closest she has come.
You're right.
To doing like a big budget thing, but it's still just an adaptation of one book. But it had
it's
that
no like Maze Runner or whatever the fuck, right?
No.
but it had
yeah.
that Twilight afterglow is the thing,
Right.
whereas like all the movies came out and they're all like, what more can we? What more?
We got to fast track
we
the
gotta get more
divergence.
blood from this stone,
Yeah.
and then they're like, what about this? And it's like, no, thank you.
Wow.
2014, she is in a film directed by Ryan Gosling.
No, what?
Oh.
It is a film called Lost River. To date, it's the only film that Ryan Gosling has directed, and it looks like this highfalutin cappuccino-sipping art house movie.
Really?
It looks... all I can infer about the plot is that it's Christina Hendricks and her son, who's an actor who I don't recognize, and like she's trying to get money to support them, and then meanwhile he's discovered like an underground, like a flooded town. He's like paddling a boat on the river, and then like street lights are like poking out of the water.
Sounds like City of Ember again. I think,
she's all like, "Wait, an underground city? Say no more."
Is Ryan Gosling acting in it?
Nope,
Or
he is
directing?
just directing.
Okay.
So he's getting like super artsy fartsy there, and Saoirse has a role in that.
Okay.
But more importantly, 2014, she's in the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yes.
She has a very lovely role in that. That is the movie where Wes Anderson just says, "Screw it, everyone in Hollywood is in my movies now."
Yes.
And everything he's made since Grand Budapest has been that. I feel like Asteroid City has like half of Hollywood in it. Like it's insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. 2015, she gets her second Oscar nomination for Brooklyn.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I can't
You
even
leapt out of your seats.
I can't even express to you
I
how much
came here to
love
just talk about Brooklyn.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have a Brooklyn corner.
Okay. I'll put a pin in it. Or no,
This is the Brooklyn corner
now's your
now.
chance.
Okay.
Brooklyn corner begun.
I just love it so much. This is honestly like when people are like, "What kind of movie would you like to be in?" This is the kind of movie I'd love to be in. A period piece, a love story. She's torn between two like wonderful characters.
The old
Donald
world and the new,
Gleason.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. Family, but adventure, like themes of like leaving home, coming of age, taking a risk. I weep every time I watch it. I love it. It's so good.
It's a nice little movie.
Yeah.
It's just funny what you were saying earlier about she lives in New York, but she has like ties to the old to Ireland and everything. It's all like, are you describing the plot of Brooklyn? That's fair. I'm fairly confident that's just the plot of Brooklyn.
I just assume it's like really a biography about her life. Yeah.
She's playing herself. 2017, she has 3 movies. She's in the interesting animated film Loving Vincent, which is a film I saw at the film festival back in 2017. It's a film about Vincent van Gogh, and the sort of hook on it is that they have painted over the literal film stock. So literally every frame is a painting of this movie because they've made it look like a Van Gogh painting in motion. And it's an absolutely stunning film to look at that is boring as sin.
Oh, gosh.
It's like, because it's right after he's committed suicide, and there's like a detective trying to figure out who's this Van Gogh person, because of course he was not famous until long after he was dead.
Right.
So it's about him basically like interviewing the people in his life, and I think she's like an ex-girlfriend or something like that, and it's a stunning film to look at, but I fell asleep.
All concept, no plot.
Fully fell asleep in that theater. She's also in a film. She's also on a film called On Chesil Beach.
Oh, I have seen that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that like?
That makes one of us.
It is, again, like a sort of drawn drama. I feel like it's quite short. I think it's based on a novella. I could be wrong. But it's like a newly married couple are on their honeymoon, and it's like tension in their relationship, etc.
I think I saw a poster for that once, and as soon as I saw it, my brain immediately refused to accept that was a real movie.
Yeah.
Because On Chesil Beach sounds like a fake movie in like a sitcom.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, how was your blind date last night? Oh, she dragged me to On Chesil Beach.
Yeah.
Oh,
One
God,
of those fake movies they make up for Seinfeld.
Absolutely. It's just like two people like staring out a window
Yes,
the entire
honestly,
time.
that kind of is the cinematography
Oh,
of it.
okay,
It's
all
like
right.
a pebbled, overcast day, and
Yeah.
ankle-length skirts and whatnot.
Yeah.
However, I did like it, I will say.
Sure.
It wasn't the most captivating. I feel like it was fairly short, and it's all about their relationship.
Hey, you're selling me on that.
Yeah, yeah. Brevity.
But in 2017, she right off of the back of her last Oscar nomination, she got
Say
Oscar
it.
nomination number 3. You know
Say
what?
it.
You know what? You say it.
Wait, is it Lady Bird?
It's Lady
Oh, I love
Bird.
Lady Bird.
Yeah, Lady Bird's a fantastic film.
Yeah.
It's just warm and personal, and just like amazing performances, and just like real people
Yes.
in real situations doing
Yes.
like things that like
Awkward,
I can relate to
youth.
that. Yeah,
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
love it.
And it's as I was saying, it's kind of more broadly comedic than she's been in a
Yes.
while, even though it is kind of a drama as
Yeah,
well. I mean,
but
like,
coming of age,
yeah.
like a dramedy. Wait, is this her first team up with Timmy?
yeah, I believe so. Yes, I
think it
don't
is.
think.
Timmy.
Let me
Timmy.
roll through the back here.
think it is.
Timothy. Yes. Yeah. It's the first time that they've worked together.
Because they kind of become a bit of an iconic duo from that point on, I would say. They're in a couple together. They go on to well, I won't spoiler alert. The next couple, but
well, I mean, like they're in the next Greta Gerwig movie that we're going to talk about.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And they're in the other Wes Anderson film together.
They
right?
are. Okay. We're blowing through this. This is fine. Lady Bird, fantastic movie.
Yes.
2018, a movie we've discussed when we were talking about Margot Robbie previously. She's the titular Mary Queen of Scots.
Oh, yes. Also
Yes,
excellent.
a big body costume drama that took a big swing for the Oscars and came back with, I think, the standard costume nomination, and then most people don't remember that movie came out. But yeah, it's
great performances.
Margot versus Saoirse, so sure,
love it.
She's fully in like these British literary adaptation. I mean, this next thing I'm about to say isn't a British literary adaptation, but she's also just fully in a theatrical adaptation of The Seagull.
That's right.
Chekhov's The Seagull.
That is on my to-watch list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is also a possibility for this show when we're talking about the nothing movies of Saoirse Ronan, because who in the hell remembers that The Seagull came out? But don't worry, Jameson, I won't make you sit through. It's just It's just Anton Chekhov's The Seagull. What the fuck would we make fun of for that? There's no.
I don't know. I never even heard of this fucking thing.
There's no comedy in that.
Oh.
I don't know. Everyone's Russian and depressed.
Okay.
And
what's the movie about?
It's the seagull, but it's a metaphor.
Okay.
I don't know what is the seagull about,
gosh,
Danielle?
Don't ask me.
Give me the one sentence.
I haven't.
Pitch me on this Chekhov fella.
No,
it's fine.
I don't know.
We can move
Is
it on.
it if you show a seagull in the first act, it has to caw in the second?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, Chekhov did other shit. He didn't just introduce a gun.
People gathering on an estate, and they have various musings about life and philosophy.
Okay.
Or something like that.
I would just like to think if Anton Chekhov ever came back to life, he would like look at like how people view him now, just be all like, I did more than the gun thing.
Not to me, he didn't.
I wrote so many plays. 2019, she is in Little Women. That is her most recent Oscar nomination. What a great movie.
Yes, what a great movie indeed.
And yes, and you are correct. She's back with Timothy.
Yes,
and
a stunning cast. We got Florence Pugh, we got Meryl, Laura Dern, we got Bob Odenkirk
killing it in like one scene. You know who's amazing in that movie? Chris Cooper. He breaks my heart. He's so delightful in that. Yes. No, just a stunning cast of actors at the absolute top of their game, and also Emma Roberts.
Emma Watson.
That's Damn, right. I ruined my own joke.
Close.
And she's fine. She's fine. She is kind of like the least interesting sister to play in that. And it's easy to make fun of Emma Watson's acting ability, and I took that low-hanging fruit and I threw at it. I'm really glad that I watched the 94 Winona film before I saw the Greta Gerwig Little Women, because I never read it. I didn't have like a point of reference for Little Women, but like when that movie was coming out, I was like, I should watch another adaptation of this, and I'm really glad I did, because it gave me like a point of reference to know what Little Women is like supposed to be.
Sure.
And then when I saw what Gerwig did, who really kind of deconstructed it and had her sitting there with like the editor, and it's all like, what if we did this? No, she's gotta end up with a guy. And I'm like, I'm really glad I know what Little Women is supposed to be.
And you know what? I believe that film was filmed here in Vancouver.
The Gerwig one.
No, the original one.
Oh, yes, it was, because Scott Bellis is in it.
Yes, a bunch of local people. Yeah. I was going through the IMDb and I was like, wait a second.
I know. No, that blew my mind, because I've been in a play directed by Scott Bellis, and then I'm just watching, and there's just like a parlor scene.
Yeah.
And like, there's people in petticoats and Winona and Scott Bellis?
Yeah.
What? I know that guy. That's so wild. It's so wild when you see like a film from the 90s and you recognize someone that you know. 2020, she's in the film Ammonite.
Oh, right.
It is the film Ammonite.
Mm-hmm. And she plays the lover of... Who?
Kate Winslet.
Right.
And there are two women in the past, and they're digging up fossils, because that's what Ammonite is. Ammonite's an old sea creature. Ammonite. The film Ammonite. Jameson, why would I possibly be saying the name Ammonite over and over again? I don't know. Maybe put a pin in that for later. 2021, she's in The French Dispatch, which is working with Wes Anderson again, and that is her third pairing with Timothy, even though I don't think they have any scenes. In fact, she has a very small role, and that's like a blink and you'll miss it cameo. But again, French Dispatch has like so many actors in it. So, but yeah, she's working with Wes again. I'm sure she'll work with him again. 2022, another movie that we discussed when we were talking about Sam Rockwell. She's in the pretty funny farce See How They Run.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. I haven't seen it, but
Which
it's
is-
an Agatha Christie
It's
kind
like
of send-up or adaptation.
a send-up, yes. It's not an adaptation
Okay.
of any play, but
Right.
it's a perfectly charming little murder mystery that's a little let down by the fact that Sam Rockwell can't really do an English accent.
Oh, no.
He's weird casting.
And actually, wait, I think it's specifically a send-up of The Mousetrap, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is.
Yes, okay,
Yes.
great.
It's fine. It's a totally
Yeah.
her cuteness is at its peak in that movie. She is
Saoirse or...
adorable.
Okay,
Yeah, and then upcoming, she's in the sci-fi drama Foe. She has a rehab movie called The Outrun, and she's going to be in Steve McQueen's World War II movie Blitz.
Wow.
So she's got, she's not stopping.
She
She's
does
got
it all.
She got these
Good for her.
projects.
No
Yep.
kidding. Wow.
Great.
Okay.
All right, cool.
That's
Well,
Well,
Sure.
you've proven you can recall the synopsis of a movie.
sure can. Well, to the most part. For we'll see. We'll see how much I can recall the synopsis of a movie when we talk about our next film, which, spoiler alert, not much happens in. But
lots to talk about.
lots to talk about, of
Yes.
course. Yes. Don't worry. Don't fret. There's lots more
Yes.
of this
No,
to come
Keep your dials tuned.
after the break. Exactly.
don't go away.
be
Nothing
honest-
Movies will be right back after these messages.
So here we go. By the time you're listening to this, it's already after the June 1st holiday of Canada Day. And amidst the cookouts and the patriotism for some, for others, there likely came another difficult round of reckoning with our country's legacy, as well as the painful reminder of what was taken from the true owners of this land, the various indigenous communities, stewards, and families, who every day must endure the wrongs of the past, the outrages of the present, and the uncertainty of the future. While Canada has given some of us so much, we must never forget the shocking, brutal violence of its founding and the lives decimated in the process, the ripple effects of which may truly never fade. In this time of reflection, it's an excellent opportunity to support some Indigenous charities. Charities like the Pacific Association of First Nations Women, who supply mentorship programs for youth, elder support, home care services, and counseling for families with missing or murdered loved ones. I'd also like to spotlight Indigenize, which provides youth camps for kids and workshops for anyone of any background that might want to work with Indigenous people and teaches them how to properly engage. There's also the Aboriginal Mother-Centre Society, which provides housing programs for moms and kids who are at risk of homelessness or child welfare intervention. For links to all the charities I just mentioned, please visit our show notes. And if you don't live in Canada, I encourage you to research your own Indigenous communities and see how you can help on a local level. Let's all make choices to help land back become something real and sustainable.
All right, what's on your mind, Kaz?
I just wanted to say, I'm typing in Violet.
Coming in hot.
I just wanted to look up something about Violet and Daisy on IMDb. I typed in Violet. I haven't gotten to and yet, but like when I type in Violet to IMDb, the first name that pops up is Juno Temple.
What?
What does that have to? What do we do in IMDb? Get your shit together.
Is
Get
she?
your-
Are they in something called Violet?
No, not at all.
Oh.
Although
is this a recent search of yours?
I'm doing it right now. Like, I'm doing it, like, as I say. Although, interesting, Juno Temple also in the film Atonement. I don't know if that's, like, the connection there or anything like
I
that.
was listening.
Anyway, we're back.
Yeah. Fix
And-
your shit, IMDb.
Yeah. Violet and Daisy. It is written and directed by Jeffrey Fletcher, who has the distinction of being the first African-American to win an Oscar for writing.
Yes, best adapted screenplay,
In
right?
2009. Maybe could have done that a little earlier. Probably could have done that much, much earlier. But yes, no, he won Best Adapted Screenplay in 2009 for adapting the novel Push by Sapphire into the movie Precious,
Right.
based on the novel Push by Sapphire. I love that that's what they named the movie.
Just rolls off the tongue.
It's such a weird flex that no other movie has ever done. It's all like title of movie, based on the book This by this author. Talk about your brief filmographies.
Yes.
I can do this guy's entire filmography right here.
That was his first writing.
That's his
project,
first
right?
writing credit.
2 years after the
Straight-
Oscar winner.
Yep.
You say, okay.
I think his first credit is on Lee Daniels' Precious, and then his follow-up to that is writing and directing this movie, Violet and Daisy, and his only other credit, and I didn't even do it, I closed the book. Why did I close it? I was looking this up. Is a 2018 film called Trial by Fire, which seems to be a true story courtroom drama starring Laura Dern.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And Jack O'Connell, and he wrote the screenplay for that. And that's it.
Oh, God.
That's all this guy, the 3. He's got 3 credits. And nothing in development.
So
Oh, no, I'm sorry. He
we'll
does
get
have
into that.
some films in development. Anyway,
Oh, okay.
he has like an Attica movie coming out. Anyway,
Okay.
just to
considering
have
how-
them out. I know screenwriters don't necessarily work as much as like directors do, say, right? Because directors are often,
they're just going project to project.
yeah, they get like hired and whatnot.
But you're doing phases of writing, and then you
yeah.
have to get it sold. Like, who knows how many other scripts he's trying to
How many he's sitting on.
develop? Yeah.
It should also be pointed out that Precious and the other screenplay are both adaptations of works. Violet and Daisy
True.
is out of his dome.
Okay.
This is
interesting
fully
distinction.
the
Yes.
movie that Jeffrey Fletcher wanted to make following his Oscar success. He got the
Right.
Oscar. The studios inevitably said, Jeffrey, we're in the Jeff Fletcher business.
Yeah,
And
what do you
he's-
got for us?
And he said, please don't call me Jeff. I don't like that. And it's all like, you got it. And and this is what he wanted to tell. This is the story that he wanted
Yes,
to tell.
his heart beats to tell.
To
the
which I
story.
say, stick to adaptations.
Oh yeah. So let's get into it. Let's get into Violet and Daisy.
Yeah.
What do we think?
Well, I thought this was quite quirky to an annoying level until it stopped being quirky.
got
to an
violent?
And
Yeah.
not even violent, it got depressing.
Yeah.
And in that time, it just really spun its wheels.
That's what I was about to say. Like the alternate title for this movie really could be Stalling for Time.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe violent and dozy. Bit of both,
Boom,
yeah.
Danielle, you can't give us that good. Because
Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? Truly,
yeah, right.
There's
We're gonna
nowhere to
Where
go
we
but
gonna
down from here.
Oh boy, story of our life. But yeah, no, it's a story about it's like Jeffrey Fletcher sat down at his word processor. And he's all like, all right, I'm going to start writing my screenplay, or like the story treatment for my screenplay. And then he wrote like the first sentence, Violet and Daisy are hired to kill a man who engineered the hit on himself because he is dying of cancer. Period. And he looked at that and I'm like, good first sentence, Jeffrey. Patted
Yes.
himself on the back.
Yep.
And then he wrote, after some discussion, Daisy shoots the man in the head. Period. And he got up and he cracked his knuckles and he sat down and then he realized his screenplay was 18 words long. He's like, "Fuck.
Yeah.
I can put some other stuff in here. Some other stuff can happen."
Good starting point, good ending point, but like there's the
Yeah.
ever crucial getting from point A to point B.
Yeah.
She goes to like a hardware store at one point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something happens.
I know. I feel like for me, like I don't want to. I feel bad because it's hard to get a movie made and like
Absolutely.
good for
Totally,
Jeffrey. Like I don't want to
100%,
rip
yeah.
on him too hard. However, it does feel a bit like someone's media class project in like high school. You know what I mean? Like they have these influences they love. They're setting out to make the next Pulp Fiction or whatever. And
It's so easy to compare other
I know.
filmmakers' films to Tarantino. It's
Yes.
almost hacky. This really feels like a Tarantino script. Like it does.
but
it's
like a
just the odd-
knockoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the influences are like clearly there.
Yeah, if Quentin Tarantino were to make like a Hitman movie starring Zooey Deschanel or Natalie Portman from Garden State,
Right.
it's his crack at an indie dramedy.
Yes. Cringe along the way, but some fun redeeming moments, I will say.
Definitely, there's definitely like moments. There's definitely like
few.
pockets of things that happen in this movie that are definitely worth talking about. But Jameson, let's get into it.
Yes, let's do it. Yeah, so Violet and Daisy are two young ladies living in New York City, and they were eagerly anticipating the arrival of their favorite pop star, Barbie Sunday, but her show has been canceled. So they say, well, what are we going to do now? And I guess they decide to become contract killers?
No, they're
Were they always contract
they were
killers?
always contract
They were
killers.
always
They-
contract
Yes.
Before this movie begins, they are contract killers.
Okay, all right.
Jameson.
Professionals
All
They
right,
are.
fine.
It's just they're contract killers.
with hobbies and interests.
Look, we already gotta get into it, because the one thing that there's many things that this movie does not explain, but like, if you are dying to know how Violet and Daisy became friends, how they became contract killers, how they ended up working for their agency, don't worry, this film will not tell you. You have to kind of make up your own mind about it. Why are there two young women in there? Well, because this movie begins with Daisy's 18th birthday, so they're no longer children. They are both young women. I think Violet is meant to be like a little older than Daisy, not much. Maybe I'd say maybe she's like 20 or 21, and then Daisy's 18 or whatnot. But yeah, there's like two. It's the idea of like, you know, like the young, cute, demure women. No one would suspect them to be assassins, and you know, that's a starting point for a movie.
Sure. Yeah. The execution of it, no pun intended, is
you're 2 for 2 now.
I know. I'll see myself out. But I feel like it's like a fun concept for sure. This kind of juxtaposition of all the childishness and like girlish coming of age with this brutal action and killing. But it's just how he puts them together that we're gonna have issue with as we go along, I think.
And also how it tees up certain things that would shed some backstory on them. And I get the feeling that a lot of the stuff eventually is revealed to us, but I don't need a movie to be explained to me, but it would be nice to have some clarity and to have things answered.
Yeah, we need a reason to invest in these characters. We need to know more about them so we can relate to them, you know? Honestly, I'd kind of be more interested in a prequel than the events of this film. Don't you think? Like, how they got to this point?
I don't know. I was trying to think of like a flower pun, but I mean, like
they need room to grow. These two budding flowers.
Here's the other thing: is that like her name is Violet, the other one's name is Daisy, and we find out a little later on that Violet had a partner before Daisy named Rose,
right?
And it just brings up the question: are these code names? Are these like how did like the agency or like the company or whatever? How did they get a hold of these young women? And did
they seek them out, or did they apply to this agency?
We get kind of a vague answer in the sense that this is wild. This next sentence I'm about to say is wild. They met at a doll hospital.
Oh, God.
Where they were surgeons at a doll hospital. Now, Danielle.
Yes.
As a woman who at one point in time was a young girl.
Yes.
Is this a thing?
Doll hospital.
Doll hospital? Is that a thing? Is that just something I'm not familiar with?
I'm thinking of like a Build-A-Bear store.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't say I'm familiar either. To be honest, I feel like this is the point in the movie my attention sort of dipped.
Right.
So I'm not super clear on the details. However, to my knowledge, I know nothing about doll hospitals.
Right. Yeah. They say it, and I'm all like, what is it? They're saying that.
That's a doll hospital.
They're saying that as if that's something that I should know what that is. That it's just like a regular thing. It's like, how's your shift down at the doll hospital? Oh man, we lost 3 Raggedy Anns today. But like, we cut to it at the very end of the movie.
Yeah, during the credits.
A very unnecessary like end credits stinger of just like a bunch of little girls in like white lab coats fixing dolls, and there's like
fixing teddy bears,
and there's like what did you? As soon as the movie was over, you were all like done, out.
Good night.
It's like there's no dialogue. It's just like this brief little thing where we see this, and and there's like one woman with a clipboard, like
very good girls.
Like, okay, is this like the recruitment center, or is this all little girl based assassin company? We don't know.
Are they Black Widows? What's going on here?
It's a training.
The movie is not interested in the answers to these questions.
No.
They're interested in the questions, but they're not interested in answers.
Yes, I feel like it's kind of that thing. I'm no Tarantino expert at all, but it feels like that thing where it's kind of like, yeah, this is a reality slightly different than normal, but we're not going to tell you about it. Just go with it.
There's pop stars, but they're
kind of
they're fake pop stars with like fake names and stuff. Like
and fake brands and everything. Yeah. And
are there fake brands in this?
Well, Barbie Sunday has a clothing line.
Barbie Sunday is like a clothing line. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and like. Clearly, 2 women who were written by a man said like they are super
100%.
They are super obsessed with getting the new dress, but they don't have enough money, so they decide to take on a new contract. Can I just veer back to like the very beginning
of
where
course.
we see them in their first on a hit job where they are pizza delivering nuns
Yes.
for a fake company called Righteous Pizza.
Yeah. Now Who printed these pizza boxes? Is this like a real pizza joint?
No, I heard that there was a scene removed where they show the girls designing them themselves.
That would have been great.
Okay.
I know.
Where did you hear that?
I read it online somewhere. I don't
all
know.
right. Well, it must be true.
Probably need to do more
clearly.
research on this.
Definitely.
If there's a shit ton answered in
Because
interviews
that would make sense. That would be interesting.
Yes.
It's like we're creating like this prop essentially
Yeah.
that only exists to hide our guns, and as soon as we enter the door, we're throwing these boxes away.
Yes, but I feel like it might have taken away from that element of surprise because until they start firing, we think they're just a couple of nuns on their way home with pizza, you know? Like, so I feel like that's the moment that we're like, oh my gosh, that's what this movie is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Now, within the reality of this world, do you think there is an actual pizza restaurant called Righteous Pizza and these hitmen have called for pizza? Or is this entirely an invention of Violet and Daisy?
I would hope that there's a pizzeria where they have pizza delivered by nuns, because I think the purpose of being a contract killer is you need to slip into where your target is unnoticed. And nothing really stands out more than two nuns delivering a pizza.
And here's the other weird thing is like, you know, after the hit, Violet and Daisy doff their nun costumes and they have like field hockey outfits on underneath, and it's like, oh, okay, and they're blending into the crowd. No one would suspect us. We're just like two teenage girls and everything like that. It's almost more distracting that they're nuns.
Yeah.
Like this, out of all
Absolutely.
of the things, out of all the things they could have disguised themselves as, nuns is the one.
Yeah, actually disguise yourself as a pizza delivery woman.
Right? Yeah, that almost would make more sense. But I don't know. The movie wants to be like cool and hip and edgy.
Yeah.
Like the whole nun pizza delivery thing. That is Tarantino to the max. That's
Sure,
some bullshit.
Yes.
That's some first draft bullshit that he threw in the garbage. He's all like, no one will buy that.
Yes.
And then here we are.
Yeah. So and they kill all the guys in that apartment, and they rescue or they extradite like whatever the fuck hostage that they have.
In a very confusing way. The entire time I'm going like, wait, who's this one guy?
Yes.
Again, they never really explain it, but I guess the point of this hit wasn't so much go and kill a bunch of people. It was go rescue this one dude.
Mm-hmm.
But he never says anything.
Never
And
says
he looks just as confused as I was
Yeah.
watching the scene. He was all like, you hear this?
Fucking after they
Two
rescue
pizza nuns?
After they rescue him, Violet goes back and takes a puppy. Because, like, I guess now, like, the puppy needs to have a home. But they introduce this dog, and then they adopt it.
That dog,
But we never see the dog
that
again.
dog
mentioned.
fully disappears.
Yeah.
It was very important that she
And I
went
will
back for that.
say, like, they have no concern for trained assassins, no concern for DNA or any
No.
sort of, like, gloves, nothing. They're just, like, shooting.
Like when that becomes a plot point later on, when they
Yes.
get to like the other point of the thing, like Daisy starts telling Violet, it's all like, you got to be careful about DNA. It's like,
ballistics and
you
stuff.
have had glasses of milk and water at this point. Your DNA is everywhere. It's
Yeah.
all
They're
over the
touching
place.
everything.
But also, if they're like two innocent teenage girls, the police wouldn't have their DNA unless they've been caught
True.
for something. But I don't know.
It-
I don't know.
it-
Lots of holes in this.
Yeah, no, it's funny because in their dialogue, they come across as, like, very precocious, and Daisy especially seems a little behind the eight ball, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Saoirse's playing it a little innocent. She's really upping the innocent quota here.
Yes.
To the point where you do sort of like ask yourself the question like how has Daisy survived for this long when she is this sort of
naive.
pure innocence.
Yes.
We've gone this long with completely forgetting to mention the other actor in this movie. Violet is played by Alexis Bledel, who so she sort of has like kind of like the opposite career trajectory of Saoirse in the fact that she has one juggernaut of a TV show and then just kind of never made it in movies.
Well, yeah, maybe not so much for film, but she is crushing The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, I didn't know she was on that.
Oh gosh, she was like a big
Cool.
lead on that first. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was also so jarring after seasons of Rory Gilmore.
Yeah.
To see her in such a gritty, dramatic, like angsty role.
But like, yeah, kind of like the biggest success she's had with movies would, I guess, arguably would be, I don't know, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
That's right.
And even then, that she's one of 4 in that
Right.
movie. So, you know, she's in,
she didn't do the big feature.
She's only got those pants on for so long, you know.
Come on.
I think she's fine in this. I think she's a fine partner to Saoirse in this. I think she
They
handles
both have
herself
good
okay.
chemistry together.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they practice that fucking patty cake routine a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh, God, there's so much patty cake in this movie.
Cake. I don't understand why.
Drink every time the patty cake comes out.
But like that just adds to the infantilization of Saoirse's character. Is that she's sweet, demure. She's a little naive, and she is constantly playing patty cake with people.
Yeah, but it feels so heavy-handed from the writer that, like, I feel like they're also always doing hopscotch throughout. There's so much of this, like, childishness, but it just feels so forced, like an adult man who's like, I don't know, what do young girls do?
Yeah,
They love dresses.
what a broad's
and,
like. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. These two girls who have like big homeschool energy between the two of them.
Yes.
There's also this very hokey thing that happens during this opening shootout where they're firing their guns at all these people, and then Angel of the Morning is playing in the background.
That's right. I did write in my notes, WTF is this movie about, but banger soundtrack so far.
Sure, yeah. But I just feel like that's one of like those like classic songs where it's like, what's a great way of like underscoring this violence in an ironic way? Oh, Angel of the Morning.
Of course.
I always like the contrast of like a happy-go-lucky tune
Yes.
and like a very intense, scary sequence.
Sure,
true.
I
That's
get.
true.
Yeah.
So-
Anyway, yeah.
So they need money to go buy a dress, so they accept a contract.
Barbie Sundays.
Yeah.
Designer line of dresses.
Yeah.
Do we even have that now? Is there like
No.
a parallel? Like, there's not like Taylor Swift dresses, are there?
I don't think so.
I don't
know.
think so either.
Maybe.
but-
I mean, I know certain celebrities will be, cross-promoting different brands with their own brands. But
Sure.
the last pop star I can think of who had like a merchandise deal or a designer label would be Madonna.
Oh.
Is
What about Kim Kardashian has like Spanx? I don't know if that is
but
like,
she's
the
not a
same
singer.
curriculum. Oh,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, she's just a very famous porn star.
Right.
I can't think of like any celebrity like outfits. Like the
Right.
closest I can come with is like Kanye's bullshit shoes,
Right.
like $500 sneakers or whatever,
Sure.
Okay.
or like that plain white tee that he tried charging like $100 for.
gosh.
But like that's just like Kanye nonsense. That's not like
Yeah.
someone did.
No.
It's the Adele dress. It's the
Yeah.
Lizzo dress. No, we don't have that.
We don't
That's
have
not
that
a thing.
And also, I feel like this is again such a like ignorant middle-aged man sort of perspective is to be like, this is the stakes for this whole movie. Is these girls need this
They want this dress.
Yeah.
The only way is murder, and like you know.
Yeah.
And they need the dress because Daisy has a line where she says, we can't spend the money on the dresses because we blew the money on rent. Which is a funny line to say, but also it's like, wait, you're two, like, young girl, you have to pay rent?
Yeah,
You're not like
paycheck to paycheck. I don't know.
well, but
I don't know.
like I would think like if I was running this, I keep avoiding saying his name because he's coming up. But if I was running this company, I had all of like these like young girl assassins, I would just put them up myself. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Why would I have them worrying about like rent? I'd have like a building full of child assassins at my beck and call.
True.
I mean, Saoirse does drop a line that I'm sure a lot of my female friends would have engraved on a fucking tombstone or get tattooed. Which
Oh,
was,
I wrote this down too.
Life's hard when you're a career woman,
Yeah.
but those dresses aren't going to buy themselves. Hell yeah,
it.
sister.
Yeah, preach.
This might even be some kind of test. Everything's a test when you're a career woman. Damn right. And those dresses aren't going to buy themselves.
All right, so they go to see Russ, who is their handler, who is played by
Returning featured actor Danny Trejo.
now making his, I believe, 5th appearance on this podcast. I got the number
Yeah,
right this
he's
time.
he's
yes.
passed Rowdy Piper as like the most appearances by a male. On
But
our-
he is tied with Shannon Tweed, so
Yeah.
we're on the right track.
Should we got to make like a Nothing Movies Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they're on it. All
Yeah.
three of those guys are on the.
Yeah,
yeah.
It'll be Danny Trejo, Rowdy Piper, Shannon Tweed, and like
The trifecta.
Mercenary Man as like first
Nice.
ballot inductees to the Hall of Fame.
When they get to 50, you email them a certificate of some sort.
Like, what
and
the
they're
fuck is
what?
this shit?
Yeah.
No, knowing Danny Trejo, he'd make like an Instagram video about it. It's like,
Thank you for the shout out.
I got
Nothing
a
Movies.
certificate. Thanks a lot. Put me on the show. Open invitation anytime you want Danny
Oh,
Trejo to come on
please.
the show. He says yes to weird things, so like yeah, anytime.
You never know.
When I was telling you about this movie, Jameson, I omitted the fact that Danny Trejo was in this movie. One, to be a surprise to you, but also I didn't want to get your hopes up because he's really not in this
He's
movie.
in one scene.
He's in one scene of this movie. Although if you look at like alternate posters for this movie, he's on the posters.
Oh, yeah.
They were trying to sell. With like
they market him.
They were doing it. They were all Bledel, Ronan, Gandolfini, Trejo.
Yeah, and Trejo. Yeah.
The classic quartet.
They find him sleeping on a park bench and
or feigning sleeping.
Or maybe, I don't know. So he's just like this hobo crime boss. And and he gives them this contract. There's a guy who boosted a truck that was delivering, was it money or jewels?
Well, it was perfume, but it was a front because he took the money. Is what
it was.
Right.
Yeah, like the real crooks were hiding it in a perfume truck. So he stole from that, and so now there's a hit out on him, and you ladies go kill him. That's pretty much, and that's a wrap on Danny Trejo.
That's a wrap on Danny Trejo, but he also drops the knowledge to Daisy that Violet used to have a partner named Rose.
Right.
And she says, like, you never brought that up before. I thought I was your first partner. It's all like, Rose died, and then Daisy says, how did Rose die? And then Violet says, it's complicated, and then as soon as she said that, I'm like, oh, okay, Violet killed
her.
Violet killed Rose.
That's our running assumption.
That's our assumption, because the movie never tells us. The movie never confirms that that's what happened, but we are led to infer through context that is what happened.
Right, which will give stakes to a moment later in the movie.
Yes.
Potentially.
In theory.
Yeah. It varies.
So they ride a big tricycle over to, to James Gandolfini.
Because that's quirky.
Because
why not?
Young girls
Gotta get there one way.
Their anti-theft device is just a loose leaf piece of paper that says, do not touch or whatever the fucker will kill you. Not even taped to the bike seat. It's just
like a light breeze in the hole.
So they go and break into his apartment. He's not there, so they decide they're going to wait around for him. There's a phone call, goes right to voicemail, and they hear just a lady chewing him out saying, like, you can't fix this. Leave me the fuck alone.
I threw your flowers away. I never want to see you again.
Mm-hmm. And the two assassins are like, huh, okay. And then they decide to just crash there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And they take a little nappy nap on the couch. We see the guy come in, played by James Gandolfini, and indeed, he is simply credited as the guy. We do not know this man's name.
Yep. Never revealed.
So he comes in and he covers them with a blanket, and then when they wake up, he's having a little nap. And okay, we're getting into it now because this ostensibly is the Saoirse Ronan episode, and we do want to focus in on her.
Okay,
but can we have a Gandolfini corner? Because my God, he's so good in this movie.
He is. Best performance by far.
I think this may be one of the best performances in a movie we've ever covered.
Really?
I don't know if this, and like it's hard to gauge because of course, we lost him, and it's such a tragedy that we lost him, and like whenever I see him and stuff, I miss him so much now, and like he's very much playing a character who is reckoning with the end.
He's resigning to his fate. Yeah,
he's so subtle, and
he is so grounded.
He just does like such amazing face. I mean, he was always an amazing face actor, but like he's doing such great face acting in this. Just like when he hears bad news, just the way like his body slumps and everything, and like.
But you see like a kindness and a warmth in his performance, and the way that he, he confesses the mistakes that he's made in his life, and the fondness that he has for the people that are choosing not to be in his life anymore. It's it's very heartbreaking.
And part of the tragedy that's tied to the loss of Gandolfini so early in his life is that since his passing, every candid story that's come out about him has revealed him to be just the nicest fucking guy. He seems like he was the loveliest man.
Yeah. Plays like one of the more scary, complex anti-heroes of the 2000s. And every story you hear about him is like, oh, he is nothing like Tony Soprano. He is an absolute sweetheart. And this role feels like the closest to James Gandolfini, the real guy.
Absolutely. I think that's why it hit me so hard. Yeah. It really did feel like an extension of himself.
And what an amazing opportunity for these young actresses. Of course, Saoirse has a lot under her belt, and, so does Alexis Bledel. But to be mentored by someone, have all these scenes with someone as experienced and with that,
and they each get their own time alone with him, for it's just the two of them in a scene.
There's other characters in this movie for the Lord,
but there ain't many.
The majority of it is kind of a three-hander.
It is
for a lot of it. It's funny that you said that, Danielle, because I was also thinking, because you're saying like how great for someone young like Saoirse to be mentored by someone with so much history and knowledge to give her than Gandolfini. A thought that I had yesterday was how great for Danny Trejo that he gets to be in a scene with like Oscar-nominated actor Saoirse Ronan instead of, a wrestler or Jean-Claude Van Damme or Rob Schneider as a Chihuahua. It's like I get to be in a scene with like an actual actor for a change. What a boost for him.
Sign me up. Saoirse Ronan, thank you for the opportunity.
It was kind of wild to see. It's wild to see him in a movie. This isn't a great movie, but it's way more highbrow than what he usually does. Yeah. So it was kind of
maybe he
nice.
felt uncomfortable, and that's why he was only in one scene. And they had to cut
I'm not sure where this is going.
I don't know, guys. This is a little out of my wheelhouse.
This was a classic. You need me for one day? I can sleep most of the time. I'm there.
Just wake me up when it's time to start recording.
Wait, what park is it shooting at? That's down the street from my house. Great, I'll be right there. So Gandolfini comes back.
Yeah. So Daisy and Violet are caught off guard by just seeing the man that they're sent to kill, and he was reconciling with his fate. He knows what they're here to do. He's not there to stop him. And the girls are like, give us a second while they build up the nerve, because something like this usually doesn't happen on these contract kills. So they opt, okay, well, let's just get it over with. So they go out, eyes closed, guns a-blazing, but they miss him because James Gandolfini was baking cookies in that 1 minute that they had their little...
he got those cookies. He got those cookies out
one-on-one,
yeah. And they're suspicious, like you put something in these, but they take the cookies anyway. And,
Which, it's kind of that's a great setup for a scene, Like something's gone awry. It's just because the style is so odd and sort of like off-putting that we don't really get to connect with what's going on. I feel like on an emotional level, it's just kind of like we're trying to figure out what the genre is the whole time.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's still in quirky comedy territory. But once they empty both their clips and Violet has to go to the ammo store because I guess she's old enough to go buy ammo.
She says that she has ID and Daisy looks like she's 12. So that's why she has to go. Right?
Yeah. So
but then later Daisy goes to get ammo, so I don't know. I don't know what the point is.
I don't know.
Yeah, but sorry, we were going to say?
No, I would just, it's just the point that, like, the plot of this movie is that, like, these two characters have to go and do a thing.
Yeah.
And then they get to the point where they could easily do the thing at about, like, 15 minutes into the movie. And then the entire rest of the movie is just finding new ways not to do the thing.
Yes.
Even though that there's no other way the movie can end.
Yeah, exactly.
They have to do the thing, otherwise we'll be here forever.
It's such a classic trope, too, where it's like, these hardened killers, something is going to trip them up for the first time, and they're going to have to relate to their victim on a human level. Like, we've seen that so many times. But I think it's just what's strange about this is because they're these young girls, that's maybe the new lens that this director is thinking is revolutionary or something. I don't know.
Kind of like a coming of age as well on top of it.
Yeah, like a weird mashup of... I feel like he picked two genres out of a hat. And we're like, okay, let's make it work.
And didn't know how to write for...
either of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, but he wrote fucking Precious. But no, he adapted that.
Yeah. And one thing I will say while we're on the writing and just like word choice... It feels so uncomfortable. And to hear these girls speaking like they are mobsters, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't feel natural. And I don't know, part of that could be the actor's job to sort of adopt the language and, find a backstory that fills it. But it just feels it just hits wrong to hear Rory Gilmore, like, cussing and, like, and it's just, like,
And I'm sure that was the appeal for her as well, too.
Sure.
It's all like, I get to play like a hardened killer and I can step out of Gilmore Girls territory for a while here.
Yeah.
I think every actor likes to stretch themselves in that sense. But yeah, it does definitely feel like Fletcher never really got a handle on Violet and Daisy as characters. He had lots of ideas about what they could be.
Yeah.
And he put them all into the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
we never really settled on one.
Yeah.
You're right. Like, what has led them to talk this way? I get if they've had a hardened lifestyle, but why are they like, I don't even know. I wish I could quote.
I mean, it could be worse. They could all talk like Juno. Or,
Right.
They get close to talking like Juno. Every line of dialogue from these two is very punchy. Very not necessarily quippy, but in just the word choices that they use. It's like no young person talks like this. People talk like this in Tarantino movies.
Exactly. But I can't buy that these 17-year-old girls this is their first choice, is like
Well,
the
'cause
ballistics of the gun.
We
you know?
don't know anything about them, so
Exactly.
we can only infer. We can only like make up our own story, our own backstory in our heads about these characters, and frankly, that's not our job
Right.
as the audience.
Yes, we need more to be
We
hooked.
surrender to you, the screenwriter, to let us know.
You need to answer these things for us. But I did appreciate that in the moments when one of the two ladies go to excuse themselves to buy ammo, that's when Gandolfini learns more information about the
Right.
person who left secondhand from one of the other girls, talking about their friends when they're not around.
Yeah.
I kind of like that in movies when something that a character would not necessarily divulge themselves is revealed through like best friend talking about them behind their back.
Yeah.
We also forgot to mention that this movie is broken up into chapters.
Yeah,
Right.
let's talk about like another completely unnecessary aspect of this
Weird
movie is that,
device, yeah.
and like the chapters are completely arbitrary and also seemingly come whenever they feel like it. Chapter 4 is literally like 30 seconds.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. It's so
Violet's
loud.
Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she's going to buy ammo, and then she hides behind a dumpster and gets out of the way as two men go to take a leak
And then
in
chapter
the alleyway.
5.
Yeah, chapter 5. That's a wrap on Violet's Odyssey.
I'm just
So
like,
weird.
you know, not needed.
No,
Not needed.
no.
I mean, like if you're gonna give your movie chapters,
Yeah.
you really have to have like an idea or a concept
Yeah.
behind it,
a
because
clear arc for each
because
one.
at this point that's such a convention.
Yes.
That's such a stereotype of these movies. So
Yeah.
like, and this none of it seemed it didn't add to the movie. It didn't
define any of the plot points. Or,
No.
no.
Not at
nor
all.
did it explain like the chapter titles.
No. Yeah.
One was photosynthesis, and
Oh God, I didn't even think about
yeah,
that.
and all that happens there is one character confronts Daisy in a stairwell, gives her a warning, and Daisy stands up for her and Violet. End of chapter. What does that have to do with photosynthesis?
If I knew better the definition of photosynthesis, I could maybe
That's when-
engineer a joke about that.
I mean,
It's-
that's when plants take in sunlight to generate their own food.
hey, it's Science Corner.
Yeah, there we
With
go.
Dr. Rafter.
We're big brain rafter over here.
Big brain raft. Yeah, that's much better. It's much better than mine. Look at
Put that
big,
on a t-shirt.
The big brain on rafter over there.
Look at me. I'm
I mean, like chapter 9 pops up, and I forget what the subtitle is for that. But then, like a couple of minutes after that, chapter 9A happens.
What?
Which
I
also
don't think I
doesn't
caught
have
that.
a title.
I thought that was like, was that the apartment of the neighbor? I don't know. We're kind of jumping around.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
there's no rhyme or reason to
Okay.
any of these titles. No, there's completely nothing. So yeah, so Violet goes to get ammo from the store. That's its own thing. Daisy and the guy sit on the couch and get to know each other a
Play
little bit
paddock
better.
cake and
Yeah.
He listens to the message, and we find out that is his daughter. He's got like a rough relationship with his daughter for, again, very arbitrary reasons that
Yeah.
we'll get into later. Let's talk about Violet's Odyssey, because some shit happens in here, and it's befuddling, to say the least.
Yes.
Yeah, so she goes to the hardware store, and I guess that conveniently sells ammo in the back.
Of course.
Yeah, so she says the magic code word to get the ammo. While she's there,
I mean, she doesn't.
She asks nicely.
that's right.
Yeah.
She doesn't say the code word. She goes in and she makes like gun motions with her hands.
Because
the
it's
guy-
quirky.
Yeah, and the guy's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, yeah, you do. And he's like, all right, in the
All
back.
right, but
It's
you
all
got
right.
me.
She's like,
We
"Thank
need some more
you."
security in this secret underground
Yes.
John Wick
I mean-
style fucking.
No kidding, because immediately after he gets robbed.
Yeah, I mean, it is set in America, so who's to say?
All of this happens so quickly.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. But so before she gets to the hardware store, she sees the 4 hitmen from the opposing crime boss.
Yeah.
Right.
Guys who I imagine were all meant to be dressed in black, but one guy just wore like a gray hoodie.
It was like bring what you can from your own closet.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, this is
We
what
need
I've
something
got.
black, and like, this is the blackest thing I own.
Right.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And one of them is played by the actor who plays Artie Bucco on The Sopranos, and as someone who's seen 3.5 seasons of The Sopranos, I'm bound to mention whenever 2 actors from The Sopranos are in the same movie together, which happens quite a lot.
Oh, yeah.
They're a big family. No pun
Can I say
intended.
that I've never seen The Sopranos?
It's pretty good.
It's good.
I hear it's like one of the best.
Very
It holds
violent.
up.
Very violent. Very bleak.
It's on my to watch list.
You know, it's
but-
like like I said, I watched 3.5 seasons. I stopped at that half, largely because I'm like, you know what? I think I get the idea of what The Sopranos is now. But it's definitely like a show that like some people can sit down and like watch The Sopranos all day long. I can do like maybe 2, and by the end of it, I'm like, I need to go take a walk, smell a flower, get some air in my lungs, because life seems bad now.
Yeah. Wow. And it's hard. I find it hard to get into a show that is like well acclaimed, but has a notoriously controversial ending, or controversially bad ending. Yeah.
Okay. So you know it's coming.
Yeah. So like these robbers come and they shoot the guy, but she manages to distract the robbers, knowing apparently this hardware store is next to a police station, so the cops just happen to know that this place is being robbed.
Okay, but here's the thing. I wasn't sure if that's what really happened.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
100%.
Or is that just a lie that she's telling?
Because pointedly what happens is, like, Violet goes in the back to get the bullets. The robbers come in, shoot the counter guy. Then they notice Violet come out of the back. They point their guns at her. The next time we see her, she's back in the apartment. And it isn't until much later that she tells Daisy through flashback what happened. And because of that, we are led to believe that Violet is making up a story.
Yes.
And as soon as she tells him that, I'm like, okay, eventually we will find out what actually happened at the hardware store. And guess what? We sure as hell don't.
Not.
So are we led to believe that that's the truth?
I don't think so, because I think it's implied that she's had a run-in with them before by the dumpsters, where she was maybe...
No,
definitely.
These are two different groups. The 4 hitmen who go to James Gandolfini's apartment aren't the same people who rob the store.
Right.
These are just random criminals that just happen to show up at this point. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
They are. Well, yeah, because
4 people with guns.
Well, because they get shot by the cops, and then the 4 hitmen get shot by Violet, so they can't be the same people.
Right.
And then one of the cops also gets shot, and his badge magically flies off and pins itself to her shirt. Which I imagine would fucking hurt, because it's a pin that has to go into her chest. But
okay.
But now she just has a police badge.
And that's the most fantastical element of it. It's all like, this cop got shot, and as he got shot up, his badge flew off his body and landed perfectly in this. I haven't adjusted it. It's right here. And it's like, okay, Violet.
Yeah, and then Daisy asks her, like, why do you look so banged up? And she just, I slipped on a banana peel. And it shows us her apparently legit slipping on a banana peel, even though that's probably not
Violet
what really happened.
seems like a bad liar. Like, Violet, I don't buy anything that comes...
a lot,
But the movie leads us to believe, because it doesn't actually show us what happened, so the thing that it shows us how it happened, we as an audience have to buy that's what happened.
Because we don't know what the conventions of this film really even are. We're like, okay, can we trust what we see? I don't know.
Well, the movie also establishes that Violet, in order to protect Daisy's innocence, will lie to her. Because they do mention that those previous hitmen, they had a run-in, and Violet tells Daisy, they stuffed me in like a dumpster. They locked me in a trash can or whatever. James Gandolfini says, like, is that really what happened? And the heavy implication there is that, yes, she got raped.
Yeah.
And suddenly the movie stopped being a quirky, cutesy comedy, and it just drained all the fucking fun.
But again, it's just an implication. It's all subtext. No one ever...
Well, they show her crying in the alleyway, punching a mirror when she looks at a cracked reflection.
Right.
I was so... Because Daisy is recounting the story to the guy, and then she's having the run-in with the hitman at the same time.
Yeah.
I was so confused. Like, is this a flashback?
Is this happening again?
Is this happening right now? Is this like a flashback to what happened before?
Yeah.
I truly have no idea. It's all very confusing.
But yeah, those competing hitmen show up at James Gandolfini's place. Daisy manages to distract him with her quirkiness.
Again, stalling for time.
Yeah.
We could just call this movie Stalling for Time. And it's one of 2 times that one of the assassin characters just starts going off about complete inane bullshit, and the only, as an audience member, the only reason she's doing it is so someone can sneak up behind them and get the drop on them. And it happens twice, and it's wild. And I'm just sitting there, and it's all like, okay, get on. And they're so dumb, because she's just all like, aren't your arms tired? Don't you want to put your guns down? None of us have guns.
Yes.
And it's like, it's so telegraphed.
It's weak. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And of course, that's when Violet shows up and shoots all the guys in the back, conveniently wasting all of the bullets. So now we don't have any more bullets to shoot James Gandolfini with. So again, just delaying the inevitable of
Yes,
this
and
fucking movie.
we also learned that Daisy has always only brought blanks to all of their jobs.
Yeah.
And has never shot anyone.
Which is kind of interesting because that's like the one thing, because in the opening shootout,
Oh, yeah.
there are people who get like shot like 4 or 5 times,
And we're wondering, why aren't they going down? Yeah, it takes
Right.
it takes 2 full clips to bring that one guy down, and also a fire extinguisher to the head.
That's like
and
the
I'm like,
one.
Jesus Christ, this guy's Superman.
That's like the one point of the movie where something weird happens, and then it's eventually explained why that happened.
Yeah, you're right.
We're forgetting a very important detail. After Violet shoots the 4 men, Violet and Daisy do the internal bleeding dance.
Oh,
and we're back to
right.
being quirky and cute and,
Weird.
and grim.
I think I'm hearing something. Something like what? The internal bleeding dance? I could sure use some help, too. You got it, partner. Move, I want the fat one! They're all fat, bitch! Say, mister, you got any other leads on where I could get some more bullets? That other place got turned into a crime scene. Long story.
They're jumping on these dead
Gross.
man's chest,
And they're giggling. And
fountains of blood are spewing out of their mouths, and James Gandolfini's just in the corners going,
what the fuck? Like, I thought these were
going on?
sweet girls in just a weird, fucked up circumstance, and like, no, these are deranged psychopath
Yeah,
killers.
they're crazy. Yeah, they're killers. They're not well in the head.
Right, and then it's like, again, who are we supposed to be behind? Like, who's the protagonist to us, the audience, you know? Like, we've been with these girls the whole time, but it's so alienating to see them do this.
Yeah.
You know?
I get the feeling that if these characters were not the focus or the stars of this one movie, but were just secondary, tertiary characters in a different movie, they would go over a lot better.
Yes, because they're kind of two-dimensional in some ways, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So again, bringing up the concept of stalling for time. I'm sorry that I sound like a broken record here, but yes, you mentioned like Violet empties all of the ammo that she just bought, and then we have this extended sequence where she's like, I guess I gotta go get more ammo again, and they talk for a while, and they talk for like, I don't know, like 10 minutes until James Gandolfini brings up the thing that I've been shouting at the TV the entire time. You have the other, they all have guns.
Yeah.
Just use their guns.
Oh, yeah.
And then when he finally brings that up, I'm like, oh, thank you. Someone said like the obvious thing. But then as soon as that happens, Daisy starts stalling for time, and she comes up with this ridiculous reason why they can't use the thing, because now we're talking about DNA.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about ballistics matching and stuff, and
Yes.
it's like,
yeah, and how the other killers would have gotten the credit, and that would give
Right.
Danny
They might
Trejo
not
the
get
excuse,
paid or something,
the
yeah.
excuse to weasel out of it or whatever. I did
Weak.
very weak. I did appreciate that at one point she says that, and then they're gonna blame us for these other bodies, and I'm like, you were already responsible for these bodies.
regardless of how it goes from here on out, and if you shoot James Gandolfini, there's still 4 additional corpses
Yes.
that are here in this building. I think the point that we forgot to bring up is that James Gandolfini has stolen from multiple gangs. So, like,
Yeah.
these 4
Right.
hitmen
Yeah, he's
don't work for Danny Trejo.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's hedging his bets, which I find really weird. He didn't expect these 2 ladies to be the guy who kills him. He expects professionals to get the job done the very first try. So why did he go and piss off another crime boss?
It's really wild.
Just
I just really
as insurance?
I want to die through suicide by hitman, but I really want to make sure that it happens. So exactly, I'm gonna put my thumb on the scale, and I'm gonna really make sure that it goes down. If one of them, if for some reason the first hit doesn't go down, I got a backup hit right behind it.
And what if the first hit goes off without a hitch? What's the second gang going to do when they show up? Like, what the? We just wasted an entire afternoon getting to this guy's place.
And, like, I know pointedly we don't know who this character is,
Right.
given the fact that he doesn't have a given name, but also, who is he a criminal? He must be a criminal. He must be connected to the crime world
To know.
somehow.
Yeah, to know how it works.
But never explain. Never explain. We just know he's connected enough that he could steal money
Right.
from multiple people.
But he's a sweetheart at heart, you know?
Yeah. He is
He's
a
kind of a
sweetheart,
father
yeah.
figure. But do we know why his daughter is angry with him? Is that at the
Yeah,
end?
so
I kind of
she-
zoned out towards the end.
So
Fair enough.
yeah, it's like his wife she was having an affair, and then she left him for the other guy, and then died. But he never divulged the affair to his daughter. So when the mother died in, I suppose, like a car crash or whatever,
her and her new husband died in a car crash, and he never told his daughter that there was an affair or anything like that. He let her have like this saintly image of her mother,
and so
he put all the blame on himself.
Yeah, and so
because he's a classic martyr type character.
Yeah, and she blames him for the death of the mom because if they were still together, she wouldn't have been in that car crash or whatever.
Oh my god!
I know.
Which Violet does correctly point out is bullshit.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can buy that the daughter is young and emotional and whatnot. But yeah, again, it's a pretty flimsy reason.
Yeah.
And also, like, maybe don't make James Gandolfini a complete saint.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, I mean, and it's a little tough to buy in my mind that someone who has like this beating moral compass, but is still like out there stealing tons of money and like committing crime.
Yeah.
It's a little too much of an archetype to really get behind as like the main plot.
He would have to have some kind of ties to the criminal underworld to know that these are the trucks that you have to hit.
So can we see a bit more of like that hardened criminal?
Yeah,
like, is there something in his personality that allows him to do
the
that
daughter
kind of
doesn't
crime?
talk to him because he went into a life of crime, because he
Yeah.
left his wife behind.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a multitude of better reasons why his daughter is mad at him.
Yeah.
This one is very convoluted, and ultimately the characters poke holes in it before we can poke holes at it. So very strange. But yeah, now there's 4 dead bodies. Jumping on the bodies. They put all the bodies in the bathtub.
Nosy neighbor comes and knocks.
There's
And
a
I
nosy
heard a
neighbor.
noise, and it's like, don't you worry about it.
Here's the other thing about why Violet's story doesn't make any sense about the shootout at the hardware store. Is she says that she wasn't this is because she's stalling for time when these hitmen are like pointing guns at her, or these robbers are pointing guns at her.
Right.
And she's stalling for time because she knows that this hardware store is close to the precinct, like the 11th precinct, so she knows the gunshots will bring the cops very quickly. But by that logic, James Gandolfini's apartment is also close to this precinct because it's just down the street from where this hardware store must be, and they fired multiple guns at this point.
Yeah.
So none of this makes any sense. This is all bullshit.
And I swear that there is a continuity error on her way to the hardware store when she sort of like ducks, or maybe it's on her way home, when she's being followed by 4 men of some sort.
Yeah.
She ducks behind this like little green sort of alleyway sort of thing.
Dumpster?
And, no, not the dumpster.
No,
but
I know.
She sort of, like, tucks in behind.
Yeah, I
like-
know what you're talking about.
And then she does that twice, I swear, on the same green wall. It looks like they recycled the same moment. And then that's when they finally corner her,
I love noticing continuity errors in movies, particularly short movies. This is like an hour and a half.
Yes.
And it's like, could have been a little longer. Could have explained a few things.
Yeah.
But it's like, not only did you not explain things, but you also left in a mistake.
Yeah, totally.
And your movie's not that long to begin with.
Yeah.
So while Daisy's out, and I guess it takes her the entire night to just circle the block looking for a place to buy ammo or whatever.
This is, Daisy has left now to get the ammo.
In like her bloody smock, not drawing suspicion or anything.
Sure.
While that happens, I guess Violet and James Gandolfini are just, good night.
Violet takes a shower while standing on the corpses of the dead men.
Sure,
she puts her foot right on Artie Bucco's face. It's pretty funny. It's macabre, but it's like every once in a while this movie does something that kind of makes me chuckle. We find out through conversations with James Gandolfini that all of these assassins have numbers assigned to them, and Violet's number 8 and Daisy is number 9, and we hear talk of this mythical number 1, the number 1 assassin who killed 3 ninjas with a nail file or something. That's a good line. And we see this during Violet's Odyssey, which is what the thing calls it. We see this woman with binoculars who's been following. Sniper scope,
watching,
who's watching her. And when Daisy comes back, there's a dead person on the landing, and this woman is here, and we are led to infer that this is assassin number 1.
Right.
And she's been following Violet and Daisy because I don't know, I guess I guess Danny Trejo didn't trust them to do the job. Again, it's all very
And
vague.
he's right. They're not doing the job.
No, they're not. They're really
they're
fucking
stalling.
up.
And
Yeah.
she points out that, one of those hitmen that you killed, one of those guys was engaged to the chief of police daughter. I'm like,
What a weird line.
Okay.
What a weird thing for that character to say at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote that down too, Jameson, because I'm all like, what does that have to do with anything?
Because now the cops are going to crack down hard on these contract killers. They let it
Right.
slide for too long, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, weirdly, at the end of the movie, that's not resolved, and
No.
we are led to believe that Danny Trejo has to gear up for a gang war now with the
Right.
other people because they
Wouldn't that make the movie interesting?
wouldn't something
Yeah.
you know?
Like, I almost feel like it feels like designed by committee or whatever, where I feel like a bunch of people kind of collabed on these storylines and then some of them just kind of got abandoned. You know what I mean? I know that didn't happen, but there's so many niche details like that you're like, oh, this is going somewhere, but just never resolves. Yeah. I feel like there's maybe it was meant to be in a serial format instead of a film. I don't know.
The chapters would kind of, like a Netflix series. I don't know.
You just release this online and then you release one chapter that's literally 30 seconds.
30 seconds, yeah.
That'd be great. What
Let's talk about the dream sequence.
Oh yeah, there is a dream sequence.
Oh,
in this
there is a
movie.
dream sequence.
There was like a half second there. I'm
remember.
like, the fuck are you talking about?
wait,
Oh yeah, there is one.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so overnight, Violet has a dream where she opens the door and she finds herself in, I'm going to presume, her backstory?
Oh, right.
Oh right.
Yeah.
She goes through a door at one point.
Yeah, and she finds herself in the front of a farmhouse that has an airplane crashed
And
into it.
there's moments throughout the thing where she thinks she hears a plane in the sky and she gets really nervous for a
Yeah,
second.
there's
She has a thing with planes.
There's an airplane motif, but but that's not explained.
No.
She's the sister from Donnie Darko, is what I thought when
Yeah.
I saw the plane sticking out of
Yeah.
the house.
Yeah. I think at one point before this, she mentions that she has a father that she doesn't talk to, she's estranged from, but doesn't really divulge why
That
that
could
is.
mean any-
and
that could mean
that could mean
literally
anything. And I'm like,
anything.
oh,
Yeah.
did he die in that plane accident? Was he
Yeah.
the
Was he
pilot?
a-
Did he
yeah.
just die when the plane hit the farmhouse? Is that even her fucking farmhouse? And then the dream cuts to seeing a bunch of flight attendants, one of whom is actually Daisy, and she's very stilted and awkward, and she talks about, oh yeah, Rose was just here.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, and what are we going to learn about this? Did she kill Rose? Are we going to see Rose?
Right. No.
We learn nothing that we didn't
Nothing.
know already, and then she says, "Oh, Rose is behind you," and she turns around, and we don't see Rose's face because there's just a gun there, and he pulls the trigger, and then Violet does the thing where she's like, "Oh!" She wakes up.
wakes
I
up,
don't.
yeah.
They're not sleeping through the night. I think they're just taking a little nappy nap.
Sure, yeah.
Because they've had a big afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's
This is
exhausting.
their second nap of the day
It is.
then,
Yeah.
because they did already nap, right?
But it is also revealed in this previous scene where Violet is talking to the guy. She looks at the wall and she looks at the ballistics and she realizes that Daisy has been using blanks, and she rather coldly tells James Gandolfini, if she gets caught using blanks, I'm going to have to kill Daisy.
Right.
And James Gandolfini's all like, I thought that was your friend. I thought that was like your sister. And she's all
Yeah,
like,
me too.
I didn't say I was going to like it. And then
Yeah.
at the same time, Daisy is talking with number one. Again, that's the name of the character. They
Number
didn't-
one.
Number one.
She's talking to Riker.
Who again is played by a great actor, Marion Jean-Baptiste, who's an Oscar nominee. They got a great actor in this very tiny role and gave her nothing to do, like Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
But she also says that you guys have an hour to kill James Gandolfini or I'll kill both of you.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
stakes
Raising the
are
stakes.
up.
Yeah.
Stakes are up.
So, yeah, Daisy returns to the apartment without the bullets, so Violet has to go out and get the bullets. And during this time, James Gandolfini says, we're friends now, I like you the most. I want you to be the one to pull the trigger. That's your
Right.
character growth. You actually have to kill someone if you want to be part of this
and
life.
also I think he does that to stop Violet from killing her.
Right.
Sure.
It's
I think he's
sort of a
looking
father-daughter
fair.
Yeah, I
thing
think
to
he's
bring
looking
it
out
up.
for. I think he
Yeah.
realizes if this is the life you've chosen, Daisy.
Here's a humane out for
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
I'll give you
Yes, this will be
permission.
the easiest first kill for you because we've
Mm-hmm.
also found out she's not using blanks because she's never killed anyone.
Yeah, no problem doing a blood dance or whatever they
No,
call that.
sure.
but
No.
just won't
Yeah.
pull the
No
trigger,
problem
yeah.
being around all this gun violence.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, and he also gives her a dress that he bought for his daughter.
Oh, yeah. Because she asks him, like, I think she's trying to help him, like, mend his relationship with her.
Mm-hmm. But because their entire source of income is entirely dress-based. So, you know, like, she has to get, and this will become
ridiculous,
narratively relevant near the end, near the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
It's all based around dresses.
But, like, Violet comes home, she comes to the apartment, she sees Daisy in the dress, and she's like, that fucking bitch. And this is when there's the rift between them. Right. And I thought it was because she was going to chew her out for, like, using blanks this whole time. No, she's pissed off that she's got a nice dress.
She got a pretty
like
dress.
Being unprofessional, playing dress up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really insulting.
It's so
honestly.
condescending, I know, to young women. It's like, okay, this is what's important to them. Dress up.
Yeah.
I wrote down, roses are dead, violets are too.
Oh,
is that in the dream?
That is a line.
That's a line in the dream,
I think so.
That's almost a clever line.
It is, yeah.
I feel like maybe he started with that line and then wrote the screenplay around it.
Exactly.
Oh, there's the fake out.
There's the fake out where
they're wrestling on the floor,
fighting.
like they're having a cat fight.
James Gandolfini gets a gun of his own,
and we're thinking like, oh my god, he's gonna off himself. And they hear the gunshot in the other room. They turn in there.
This is where 9A happens. This is where like number 9 is like
9A.
The setup of this thing, and then they start fighting on the floor, and then the gunshot goes off, and then it cuts to 9A, no subtitle, and then they just run back, and James Gandolfini just shot the gun outside to scare his landlady.
Yeah,
right.
And it's like. Okay.
Again, the police station being blocked away.
So many guns have gone off here.
Yeah,
it's wild. And then like
that neighbor, like, did she call the cops after the blood dance? But then
I feel like the neighbor calls the cops like at least 3 times.
Yeah,
and then they finally show up.
They send that one guy, but number 1 kills him.
That's right.
Yeah. So there's no one at the precinct going like, I wonder what happened with that one guy we sent on that report of gunfire at the.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Who knows?
So
I mean, I guess like the inference that we could do is that like James Gandolfini is like a known criminal with like a criminal background, and then when like the police discover the scene or whatever, all of the murders, including the cop on the doorway or whatever, will get blamed on him. Will get pinned on him or something.
Yeah,
I don't know, but again, we have to come up with that ourselves.
Yeah, it's more forethought than we've seen from any of these assassins so far.
But yeah, the movie finally runs out of time to kill. It finally runs out of things for the characters to do, and they're finally like, okay, I guess we finally have to kill James Gandolfini. And it's not. There's all the quirkiness goes out the window. This is played entirely straight. He lays down on the bed and
he has Violet recite a letter that he.
That's right. He writes a letter for his daughter.
To pen it,
to pen it. He would not have written it if it weren't for them.
Right.
2 girls are sad because they've grown to like this guy, but it's got to be done, and he wants it to be done.
Yeah.
I think they make a promise to themselves that we should probably go to his funeral, which is sweet because they infer that he's, kind of a loner, doesn't have anybody in his life, especially if his daughter's not around. Yeah. And then, Daisy does the deed. She shoots him.
She's his mercy angel.
Yeah.
I will say, like, the crux of this kind of plot line where it's, 2 unlikely people who are pitted against each other but come to teach each other something or help each other in some way. I can get behind that. I actually really love that as like a plot line. Mm-hmm. It's just how it is unraveled, I suppose, that is so off-putting and you couldn't care less about the characters. But as a mainstream, like the main baseline of the movie, great. Like as a log line,
the foundation
I'm like, sure.
is fine.
Yeah.
There's totally stuff that you can
setup.
do with this. It's like, look, I enjoy having more time to spend with James Gandolfini.
Sure.
But like, if you took this screenplay and you made the section where they go to his apartment, if you made that like 10 minutes and then the rest of the movie was like the fallout of what happened,
sure,
that's a movie.
Yeah.
There's like multiple scenes in more than one location. Well, they go to more than one location, but you know what I mean. Like there's more going on here.
I think the issue just is that it doesn't seem like the 2 girls teach each other anything about themselves. They start off the movie as like a pretty finely tuned unit, a finely tuned duo, and it kind of just unravels from that point. Because what happens after they kill him is they do have the money to go buy the dresses. They buy the dresses, and then it kind of seems like their relationship is frayed a little.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah,
they part ways, and it's the way that they're talking is led to infer is like, this was the last time Violet and Daisy saw each other. It's all like, aren't they roommates?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't this the only life they've known?
Yeah, what else are they going to do? Yeah.
Yeah, but they're like, are we cool? Yeah, we're cool, but I'll see you later.
Yeah, like they'll never see each other the same way
Yeah.
again or something. Like their innocence has been lost or something.
But they do not seem any fundamentally different at the
No.
end of this movie than they did at the beginning.
No.
I feel like maybe Daisy has learned like a little bit, and the only bow on Violet's arc is that she ends the movie. Her dad calls her on her cell phone, and she actually picks up and she has a conversation with her dad, and it's all like, okay, cool.
So I guess he's not that estranged.
I guess he's
after
not
all.
that estranged. I
Yeah.
guess he's not abusive or whatever because she's talking to him. I don't know, but I don't know anything about this character.
She has a sob story about like this hinted controversy with her dad, and then he just calls her up like, "Hey, hang on, Dad, I'll call you back."
Yeah.
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 But wait, can we say where they go at the very end?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of
Well,
course.
Okay, but you say it because I
forgot. I fell asleep.
They go to the school, right?
They go to the school. And Daisy goes to bring her dress to James Gandolfini's daughter,
Who is played by?
who is revealed to be Tatiana Maslany,
Yes,
She-Hulk
who I love.
herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they give her the dress.
They
right?
give
her her dress.
give her the Barbie Sunday dress
And
because
yes.
they said earlier is all like, does your daughter like Barbie Sunday? And he said,
Does she like Barbie Sunday?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly?
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Whose teen daughter doesn't love dresses? Like, yes.
Yeah, and then but then Daisy says like, I was a friend. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Is that Daisy says, I was a friend of your father. He talked a lot. He told me about that one time that you guys went to and she recounts the story that James Gandolfini has dictated in the letter.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And also in the letter he includes like a line that's all like, don't worry about the 4 dead guys in the bathtub. That's a long story
Long
that
story.
I can't get into it right now. Just
Yeah.
know it wasn't my fault. And then the PS is like, by the way, this letter isn't in my handwriting because it's written by a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And then Daisy goes and gives the dress to Tatiana and says like,
I was the friend.
I was a friend of your dad. He told me this. She basically implicates herself as the person that did the murders.
Right. But I do love that as like the final gesture of like, well, even if we had to kill him, you know, our gift to him is healing his rift with his daughter, and this
that he'll
dress,
never get to enjoy
That he'll
now.
never because he's
No, yeah.
dead now. Yeah, exactly.
But like the dress, which was the stakes of the whole film, is now like given, and that's the ultimate sacrifice.
But
I
also,
guess.
she
Like-
has the dress that James Gandolfini gave her, so she still ends up with a dress.
Okay,
Yeah,
phew,
okay.
everyone
It's
has a
not.
dress,
It's not
yeah.
the biggest sacrifice.
No.
Honestly, she still has a pretty
I-
dress at the end of the day.
I think.
and
Barbie
isn't
Sunday
isn't
dress
that
has-
the most important thing?
Yes.
A lady walks away with a dress.
We can all after school special, folks.
The Phillies love their dresses.
Yeah.
All right. Was there anything that happened in the movie that we didn't mention that
Okay.
we wanted to talk about? Danielle's
I
got
will
something.
say my favorite prop in the film was right at the beginning when they were dressed as nuns. They had these rosaries with pizzas around their neck.
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
yeah,
I
I
didn't notice
noticed.
that.
I loved it. I'm like,
Good
what a
attention to
great
detail.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, put that scene back in when they're
Yes.
getting all of the props ready for what is it? Heaven Pizza. What the hell is it called? I don't
Righteous
know.
Pizza.
Okay.
Righteous Pizza or
and
whatever.
if they're so low
Yeah.
on rent that they like can't, like money is so tight, but they still can like invest in renting these habits.
Absolutely.
Doing full
Yeah.
decor, full
Well,
pizza rosaries.
you're a working actor. You
Yeah.
know how sometimes you go to an audition and
You
like the
gotta
person
invest to make
the
money.
person who gets the job is the one who dresses for the part.
Yeah.
So there's all of these actors that have all of these costumes hanging in their closets
Yeah.
that are only good for like one day out of the year, if
Absolutely.
that.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta dress for the job you want. Go ahead.
One thing that we didn't mention is that Violet gets a little something from James Gandolfini as well.
Oh, yeah.
He gives her a camera because he says you have a wonderful outlook on life and you should share it.
Does she?
I don't remember that
Should
at
she?
all.
No, she's a
never-
psychopathic killer.
Yeah, she's a bad person.
Yeah.
She's not good.
Maybe start shooting things with the camera instead of the gun. I don't know. Like,
You love shooting. Here you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
That's great.
I just want to point out one moment that I wrote down that I actually thought was kind of nice. Was a kind of a funny moment near the beginning. They're having milk and cookies, and they both have very obvious milk mustaches.
oh yeah.
Yes,
And
that's great.
James Gandolfini just says like, "It's funny that you're here. I kind of thought that they would send professionals." And Alexis Bledel goes, "We are professionals." And then she nudges Saoirse. She's like,
Wipe your mouth.
You gotta wipe your mouth."
I love
funny moment. Funny
Oh my
moment.
God.
Well played. I like
great.
that. Yeah.
I remember one other thing. Who's Chet?
He's like their boss?
No, that's Danny Trejo,
Who is Chet?
Who's
yeah,
Russ.
I guess Chet's the boss, and I guess Russ works under him. Again, this movie is 20 minutes long. There's nothing. This movie's an hour and a half, but it has enough
feels
plot
like
for 20
10
minutes.
hours, but yeah.
Chet's the guy who gives Saoirse Ronan a birthday card on her birthday. That's it. But we never see this.
We
Chet
never see him. Yeah.
yeah.
He says like, "I'm sorry I couldn't come to your birthday, Daisy," and they're all like, "It's just nice that he wrote a birthday card." And and we're just here in the studio going, "Who's Chet? I forgot all about that character."
And why is there a stuffed panda at her 19th birthday tea party? Like,
because they're pretty. They're held back
because
a little.
emotionally she is. She never left that doll hospital.
The teddy
She's
bear
still
hospital.
there.
You're right.
She's still there emotionally, and that's the biggest tragedy. At this point in time, Danielle, we like to ask the question: does this movie have a certain something, or is it just a whole lot of nothing?
Ooh, I think for me it's got to be a whole lot of nothing. So sorry, but I don't know if I would pass it through like a 9th grade media class. I don't think so. It's just needs a rewrite. No good.
Oh yeah, it needs several rewrites, definitely. Yeah.
I don't know. What about you
Oscar-winning
two?
screenwriter.
Do you two weigh in? Do you say nothing or something?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
What's your take?
Oh, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this movie either.
Yeah.
I would need a few things answered for me to really get this. I guess the lesson we're learning from these two is that Daisy decided that this life of crime isn't for her, but it is for fucking Violet.
I
So
guess
I
that's
guess
what
that's
happened
it.
at the end.
Yeah.
But we don't really learn enough about either of these two characters other than like they start off as really fast friends, and then through this experience of a delayed hit job, they drift apart. But, there are so many loose threads that are set up, never revisited, never elaborated on. It's just, here are these spinning plates. The director does nothing with them.
Yeah.
They're just kind of arbitrarily there because it feels like he just needed to fill out, 120 pages of a screenplay.
Yes, it's all concept, all ideas, all gimmicks, but no heart, no buy-in for us, no... we need more complexity in the characters given circumstances so we can root for them, you know?
I think what you said is right on the money, Jameson. It feels like a screenplay where he's basically just like filling out time. What did you just say? It was really good, and then I forgot what you just...
120 pages.
He had to fill out...
He had to fill out like 120 pages, but it's like this is your original follow-up to the movie that your last screenplay you won like an Oscar for. Surely you must have wanted to write this. Surely this must have been like a story that was in
a passion project.
The back of your mind. That was all like this will be my directorial debut.
Yes.
This is a story that must be told. And by the end of it, I'm just kind of like, well, I guess that happened.
Yeah.
I know.
I guess those events played out.
And
maybe
were there no story editors at that level when you have that kind of access as an Oscar winner? Is there no workshopping phase? Is there someone walking alongside of you saying, hey, let's maybe talk about what's going on here? I just feel like he just went wild and was like, I don't know, here we go, let's shoot,
We got a whole bunch of this.
Yeah.
So some of
Draft
this is bound to work.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Danielle, thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
For being here, for hanging out, for talking about Saoirse.
Yeah.
You got anything going on? Anything you want to tell the folks about?
I don't know. I will give a little shout out to our good friend Mark, who was on here earlier. Mark
Indeed,
Doslaw.
past guest Mark Doslaw.
Yes, as alluded to on that episode, Mark and I are working together on hopefully developing our own television series of sorts. It's called Public Swim. Mark is an actor in the ensemble, and we shot a little proof of concept for it last spring, and so you might hear it here first. Maybe one day this will be...
I mean, how incredible would it be
I know.
if like...
a subject of discussion on this very podcast? No, hopefully not. Nothing movies.
Well,
no.
but the next time... No. We don't cover
No,
TV
you don't
shows.
want to
Okay,
be
good.
featured
No,
on
no,
the show.
right,
We'll give you a
right.
shout out,
No.
but
Yeah.
But hey, the next time you come back, it could be talking about the premiere of Public Swim.
Yes.
So there you go.
That
Knock on
would
wood.
be-
That would be incredible.
That would be amazing. And as Mark did, I'll put it out on airwaves. If you are Netflix, if you work for Amazon, let us know.
If you are Netflix, if you are the personification
Mr.
of
Netflix,
Yes.
if you
hello.
are Mr. Flix.
Yes, please get at us. Slip into our DMs. We are trying to build this workplace comedy. So that's kind of what the summer is, lined up for me, is just kind of hacking away on my passion projects and
Amazing.
waiting for the writer's strike to end.
That's incredible, yeah. But amazing and congratulations for following your passion and for doing and for like trying to. It's so hard to create something in that medium because it's like I mean I don't want to like manifest something, but you hear so many stories nowadays, especially of like people who like work on TV shows.
Oh gosh, I know.
And then like shoot the entire thing and it's ready to go, and then like literally hours before it premieres the studio just decides because they counted the beans in like one pile or whatever, and they said like no, this doesn't air and no one gets to see it, and it's wild.
Easier as a tax
it's
write-off.
Wild that like people like commodify people's passions that way.
Gosh.
It's such a bizarre business that we live in.
It is, and it's such a just roll of the dice, but my philosophy for it is like at the very least it's like a free education. I could be going to film school, or I can be just trying something and like teaching myself as I go. And my other philosophy is just making what I like. I love television. I watch so much TV, more than cinema. And yeah, I just feel like as a viewer, what do I like to watch? What stories do I want to tell? Let's just do something that pleases me.
Hey, on that note, you got anything to recommend?
Oh, yes. Okay, I love recommending TV. Okay, I am currently, for reality TV, obsessed with Alone. It's about survivalists that have to go.
Yes, I've heard of this, yes.
That's great. Jury Duty, of course, if you haven't watched it yet. That's a good one.
That's with James Marsden, right? I've been meaning to put eyes on that. I hear it's really good.
Pseudo-reality. Everyone thinks they are...
Oh, yes, I know. I've heard of this. Yeah. Yes, and he's playing himself.
Yeah, there's one actor, a cast of actors who are... It's posed like a mockumentary of filming a American jury team that's doing a case. Yeah. One person thinks it's real.
It's like a Joe Millionaire type situation.
Yes, everyone else is trained improvisers. It's funny. So great, really fun. So highly recommend Jury Duty and Alone.
Cool. Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, that was Violet and Daisy, directed by Jeffrey Fletcher. If you enjoyed this episode, please check out our back catalog of episodes. If you're listening to this on Spotify, check us out on YouTube, where Jameson adds all of the visual images and clips from the movies and other things. So
you get right, I do.
You get like a better idea of what we're talking about. Like if we're describing something and it's an audio medium and you don't know what we're talking about, go over to YouTube. Jameson's got a photo for you.
If you want to see
rosary,
if you want to see a picture of Saoirse Ronan dressed as a nun delivering a pizza, I got you back.
There we go. We'd like to thank Joel Flynn and Luke Schuss and everyone at Podstream Studios for letting us use their equipment. Next episode will be our 100th movie that we have covered.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, are you allowed to say what it is?
Sure.
Yeah. Do we? It's a bit of a let. I don't know. You know what? Let's just build it up. Let's just keep building it up. We're watching the cinematic classic starring as the voice of.
Amazing. I'm tuning in.
But that's that. And then we got episode 100, and then we got a little like bonus episode where we're talking about stuff, and then we'll just keep going. Because don't feel like stopping yet.
Not yet.
No, we're still good.
Yep.
Great.
All right.
Cool.
You and I are still friends?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
After 5 years of doing this,
I was sitting on that the entire episode. I'm all like, fuck, does Jameson still like me? Anyway,
sure,
For Nothing Movies, I'm Kaz.
I'm Jameson, and in the immortal words of Saoirse Ronan, life's hard when you're a career woman, but these dresses aren't going to buy themselves.